What up?
Hey,
Damn, Shawshank, I am excited for you to be here. We already
same here, man.
we've talked for a half hour. And what is one
Yeah,
of the things I love about what I do, man? Within a half hour, I've been doing this for so long, I can really get a feeling for if I want to have just a beautiful conversation. And that is going to happen today. And by the way, I have said no to people. So this is not just
okay,
like
okay, that's
anybody
good.
can come on to the Mikey G podcast. So in essence, you've already made the cut, my man. But
Yeah.
welcome to the show, Shawshank. How are you doing, brother?
Hey, all good, man. Enjoying the rains in Mumbai. It's nice, rainy weather. I love rains, so it's good fun. And I mean, excited. Like since the day we planned, I think we have been excited to be here and I think have this deep conversation, which is I think is very rare in Web3. So looking forward to this.
Yes, it's very rare. This is why I've been able to build a brand. If you have a
Yeah,
niche within a niche, you definitely have something. You know,
yeah,
you listen to all these large YouTube content creators, and the first thing that they will say is find a niche. But if you
find
can
a
find a
niche.
niche within a
Absolutely.
niche, which I have done, it's great. Now, I also say this too. It is way harder to find your target market as well too. And
Yeah,
it's just smaller, so it's harder to grow. But I'm doing it in a genuine way and I really enjoy it. So I'm really,
that's the
really
best.
happy for that you're here. And you said something about rain. So I lived on the east. I grew up on the East Coast in the U.S. and
Ah,
I live in San Diego now. And it is,
okay,
I think it's heaven on earth. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. The weather is
nice.
incredible all the time. Ironic and weird as it sounds, I miss a thunderstorm because they don't exist out here. And there is nothing
Right.
better going to sleep with the rain just pouring outside and hearing
Absolutely.
that thunder boom, man.
Absolutely.
Dude,
Absolutely.
see, this is
And the
also an
smell
incredible thing.
and
We're
you
already
just feel
aligning.
fresh. You
Oh,
just feel
dude.
fresh. That's
Oh,
like,
dude, the smell, yes, the smell of a fresh rain.
yeah, it's
Between the
incredible.
fact that we're already really aligning on that and the fact that we lose everything, which we'll talk about in a quick second, like
Yeah,
we're already brothers from another mother, man. This is gonna be fantastic. So before we get
absolutely.
into it, just a quick update about myself. Remind everybody that I'm excited. I'm taking my first real vacation, going to Maui with the family. I
Oh,
cannot wait.
nice.
What I also am excited about is going to Hawaii from the East Coast of the US is a long flight. But now that
Oh,
I live on the West Coast, it's only 6 hours opposed to like 13 hours. And it's just a beautiful place. That is actually one of my other favorite places on earth. Have you ever been to Hawaii?
nice. No, not yet. I've been
Oh,
to US, but not to Hawaii. I think one of the
Hawaii is
bucket
incredible.
list places.
Where have you been in the US, by the way?
Mostly on the East Coast, New York, Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Actually, West Coast also. The Grand Canyons, Vegas, like some
Dude,
time ago.
talk to me
The
about the
circuit.
Grand Canyon. Did it take your
Oh,
breath away like it took mine?
oh, oh, it's incredible. I think two moments. I think people told about sunset, but only when you see sunset at Grand Canyon you realize that.
Oh my
And I think the night sky. I haven't seen a night sky like that because they make everything dark. You can't use lights. This you just have these torches and stuff,
God. Oh, dude,
and the night sky is just incredible.
it's
It's like
incredible, man.
yeah,
That
it's like
is, we'll talk about this in a little bit. Like we're already just going off track. That's amazing. But those moments in life,
yeah,
and I don't care how you interpret religion. I call it spirituality, right?
exactly.
It
Same
is a
here.
part of a being,
Yeah,
and I think it's
yeah,
something everybody should look into.
100%,
But when
100%.
you experience something like that, it's pretty hard for a human to deny that like
There is
there's a
something beyond.
spiritual
Yeah,
element to
hundred
life.
percent,
And
hundred
I
percent,
watch.
hundred
So I
percent.
woke up, my wife didn't. And this is what's crazy to me, man. When people visit things like that, and you're
Yeah,
like, you got a once in a lifetime to watch the sunrise or the
yeah.
sunset. And you're like, oh, I don't want to wake up at 4 a.m. to do that.
Yeah, it's
Fortunately, I travel with my uncle who loves this stuff too. And
oh,
bro, we
nice.
were up at 3:30 and watching, just sitting in silence, watching that sunrise over the canyon. Never forget it. Never forget
That's, those are magical experiences, man. I think they just make you humble because you realize that there is something beyond whatever we do, and also make you immensely happy. I think it's a state of joy and humble. It's a very unique feeling. Like you have two
Yes.
contrasting experiences at the same time.
I love, yes, humble and happiness all at the same
Yeah,
time is a great way to describe it. All
yeah.
right, man. Awesome start already. Like I said, going to vacation, so I will be out. I'm actually going to I'm committing to this publicly, so it'll make me commit to it and do it more. I'm gonna fill out my content calendar because I have so much content. I still need to get another podcast up. That'll be dropping here soon. We had Cryptid
Nice.
Mystic from Quack Life, which she was just a beautiful human being. Amazing story about moving, going off grid, living in Northern California now, sustainability, a ton of amazing stuff.
Right.
But I have literally thousands of hours of content at this point, and I do a horrific job of continuing to rotate it through. So that will be coming out, and then we have some other really cool guests. One that I'm really excited that I'll just highlight because I know it's happening. Happily, I think they might be in India too, Shawshank. I'm not sure.
Oh, wow.
But these guys are incredible. They're a bunch of software engineers. They're tackling AI in the mimetic world, but
Nice.
mental health is their main goal. And they've already
That's huge.
done
That's
really
huge.
cool free mental health seminars for youth. And I think it's either India or Asia. Don't remember. Don't quote me, but just really beautiful human beings. And like I told you about my journey, mental health is near and dear to my heart. And so they're coming on right when I get back. I'm really excited about that. And there's I have a rack of guests that it can give me to the next 4 months. So it's kind of like making sure that the schedules work other than that. But that's enough about me, man. The rest is about my man, Shawshank. And what I'm excited about, man, is it's interesting to me in the sense that some of the more accomplished people like yourself, and I find this a lot on the builders, and I would love your actual take on this.
Right.
The people that have done really great things and cool things like yourself, like you've angel invested in Polygon and Meme Land, like those are things people were chasing, but you were actually like in the inner circle. You've helped tons of builders go from 0 to 1. You've been more behind the scenes. And my question here is, I find that in all the true entrepreneurs and the builders, the people that I actually want to surround myself with are the first people that don't really tell you that, because they're so busy building. What's your thoughts there? Do you agree with that? Do you think there's a reason behind that? I would love your thoughts.
So in a sense, I agree. I think, and I've been lucky enough to interact with some really, I would say, far better founder than I am. So I think one of the things which kind of stands out is that they don't realize that they are helping, or they don't want to kind of think that this is a task to be done, or they are building something. Like I remember Warren Buffett's book, which is Tap Dancing to Work. They are in that zone all the time. So they kind of
I gotta read this. Tap dancing to work.
Yes, one of my favorite books. Like that's why it says, like, if you are not tap dancing to work, which means then there is some problem in what you're doing. And with all these people who I have worked with, I don't think they even realize that, hey, I have this project or I did this investment, because they are so much into the zone. And that, I think, is the difference between people who do really well or accomplishing, because they are able to be in that zone for longer than people who kind of struggle or not able to figure that out. Just, I think, and that zone itself is a large spectrum. So maybe Elon Musk is always in the zone. Like his zone is crazy, yes, as fuck, right? And my zone probably is much smaller. But I think getting in that zone, then you don't really think, oh, do I need to help? You just do it because it's fun and it's nice, and it's just the way you do your stuff. That's what it
Yes.
is, I think.
Yeah. And it makes sense. And I agree with your sentiment because when you're tap dancing to work, and another way that I've talked about it here is finding your passion, your superpower,
Yeah,
all of these things,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You don't think about sharing that. You're just happy at doing what you're doing, which
exactly.
is the ironic part that a majority of the content creators and a majority of the people that are quote unquote KOLs and people that are chasing what they think is success,
Yeah,
it's just the wrong place to be. You
yeah,
know, there's a reason why I've never deterred from what I do because
yeah,
I impact lives. I know this, you know.
yeah,
It's another thing I didn't say to you, but like this conversation today, even with the Grand Canyon talk in which you just
yeah,
said, somebody's going to listen to that and it's going to
yeah.
profoundly impact them. That's why
Hopefully,
I do what I do, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so could I play the game and have 3-4x the amount of followers? Yeah. Do I want to? No, I don't care because I'm going to
Yeah,
bed with a smile on my face because I know
yeah,
I found my meaning and my purpose to life. And
right.
I get to meet people like you and start having conversations and cook up how can we partner together? How can we
Yeah,
continue to learn and grow together? Because you also did say
absolutely,
it. And this is the interesting thing. All of the same themes come up in these podcasts, man.
absolutely.
All of the same themes. But we get to hear your story around that. And that is
Right.
what's so fascinating to me. And
Yeah,
the other thing you said, which you hear all the time, but it's just until you go through it yourself and find these people,
yeah,
um, which is find founders way better than you. Find people
yeah,
that have the different takes, like just
absolutely.
osmosis, right? Like being
Yeah,
around that person. It's incredible how quickly your brain starts changing. And and I love your take on this. And this is the true unlock. I can't give these guys enough credit. Like I can't wait to introduce you to these guys, which are I don't know if you've heard of them, the Think Agent guys. You heard of Think Agent?
no, no, no.
Yeah. I can't wait. And
Nice.
what they've done is they've built AI Thinkubator is what they're calling it, which is basically an incubator. But they've cultivated the community around builders and then sharing wealth as the brand and the technologies that are built within
Um,
their community are
nice.
shared. Like this is the whole. I'm like the
Yeah,
only thing we've really done with Web3 and community right now is created digital country clubs, a la Board Ape, right? Like, and it's
right.
like, guys, there's so much potential. This is why I was here. This is why I started, right? I'm a brand
Absolutely.
marketing
All of
guy,
us.
and I saw, holy shit, man,
Yeah,
blockchain, Web3, the unlock of how you can build with community is a game
right.
changer. And these guys, which is crazy, right? 4 years, 4 years, it's finally taken me to find a community that I think is doing like the
That's
beginning of
great,
the
man.
potential of what you can
Yeah,
do. So yeah, man, I am just so excited. We already off on a tangent, but let's just like recap what I said because your background just excited me so much. And so Polytrade or Polygon. Sorry,
yeah.
why
Polygon.
am I saying Polytrade? Uh and then Meme Land. So you're
Yeah,
investing, you're helping companies go 0 to 1. You are now have started your own company, Pitch
yeah.
Pilot. But
Yes.
there's also one fact that really excites me, which is a little fact that people don't know about yourself. Could you share that with me?
Yeah, I think I think I'm the worst travel companion. Don't ever leave your bags, passport, mobile phone with me. Like people looking at my professional world, they think that, oh, he's systematic and he will manage stuff. And I have had crazy experiences of leaving my passport bag on Champs-Élysées. In fact, 3 days ago, I lost my or forgot my phone at the airport. So keeps happening. I mean, I have put air tags, I have put like all these reminder hacks, like just before departing the aircraft, check your pockets, and like we can have a whole session on stories around this. Like the close people who are around me, they die laughing. Like, how can someone do such dumb
Yeah,
stuff? But yeah, I
dude,
mean, it
I I
just
have I
happens.
have been there. Like I shit you not, man. We're the same people when it comes to this. Like one story immediately comes to my mind. Just got married, you know. Oh, I should have just kept my tungsten ring on my finger, but for some odd reason, I'm going through the airport and I decided to put it in the little jewelry bin. It flips over. Nobody can find the ring. Had it on my finger for like 48 hours. But see, by this moment, I've already prepped myself. So I told my wife, I was like, you are not buying me an expensive ring. I'm getting $25 tungsten ring on Amazon. And sure enough, shit's gone in 48 hours. So me and you are the same person when it comes to that. We should have a whole session
We
on
should have.
this concept and try
Yes.
to prepare people, because one of the things I want to do, and kind of what you're doing, is bring the founders back on and have an educational series, right?
Yeah.
And let's talk about practical implementations of things, and we can talk about how to live life as a forgetful human being like us. That would count as an
That
educational.
will just Yeah, that will blow up on YouTube. Like there's so many people who would relate to this.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, man, we charge $10, $15, and 10,000 episodes later of people buying this stuff, we're looking pretty. It's gonna happen. That is one of the first shows that I made. All right, man. We've already been talking for, believe it or not, almost 20 minutes. And
Oh,
we haven't
wow.
even gotten to the world famous Mikey G podcast question, but we're here. The world famous Mikey G podcast question is, Shawshank, how did you get to the seat you're sitting in today? To reiterate for the audience that will listen to this as evergreen content on the podcast platforms, or anybody here that is already, we got tons of people watching already that have not seen or heard this episode before, we go like this. We got chapter 1. Chapter 1 is going to be Shawshank's childhood. And here, I'm really interested, again, Shawshank, as kind of prompts and thought starters are parental figures. What were
Yeah.
the mantras, man? What did they teach you? Vivid memories. Everybody has vivid memories of childhood. Were you a tinkerer? Did you play sports? The reason we start here is it's just such a profoundly impactful time in a human's life. And
Yeah.
time and time again, I myself and the founders that come on start deeply reflecting that, and it opens up a can of worms, which is awesome. Chapter 2, schooling, entrepreneurship. Obviously, you were doing that. Did you have a job before? What did that look like? And here, remember
Right.
though, obviously, I want the chronological or the insight of how it went, but I'm really interested in the failures, because the failures create the insights and the learning lessons that will continue to help people be impacted by this conversation. And then chapter 2, obviously one of the other reasons why we're here is Web3, and particularly AI. Cannot wait to hear this journey, man. Let's start with chapter 1, anywhere you want, and then we'll go from there. So let's hear it, brother.
Okay. So I think so. My childhood primarily was I would say in tier 2 or smaller towns in India. My
Mhm.
father used to work in what we call as steel factories. So India has steel factories in few locations, and he would have this job where he would keep on transferring around. But the fun part about these kind of cities was that they were very compact cities, and they had very decent facilities of sports, good schools, etc.
Uh-huh.
Although the flip side of that was that income levels were always compressed, because you are not in a large city, you don't have enough opportunity as parents, so you kind of always have this contrast of enjoying good facilities, but also kind of realizing that you can't just buy any stuff which you want,
Mm.
because the company is providing a lot of stuff which discounts things. But so you had this kind of interesting mix. So I think that was, I would say, the first, I would say, vivid memories that a lot of our time would go playing like you said, a lot of sports. I mean, I'm still a huge soccer fan. I mean, I generally love all sports. Like pretty much, if you ask me, uh, random sport like who's leading in Tour de France. I will have an answer for that, or who won the Wimbledon and what's happening in cricket. So I just generally, I think a root of that kind of comes from playing a lot of games in childhood. And
Right.
then I think one interesting thing happened, which was I think for me a very transformative moment was that my father got posted to a place which didn't have like it had obviously a factory, but they didn't have a good schooling per se.
Hmm.
So then at the age of 10, I went to a boarding school for 3 years,
Mm.
and that for me was in a positive sense of extremely massive uplift, because at that point you suddenly had this confidence to be independent, to do stuff by yourself. And then boarding schools typically inculcate one very important thing via sports and other mechanisms is this super sense of competition. And so you would
Mhm.
have inter-house competitions, inter-class competitions, inter-school competitions, just tons of competitions. And I think the biggest thing I learned from there was, and I don't think you learn it when you are there. You just kind of, when you grow up in hindsight, you reflect that, is that they allow you
Yeah,
to
well, by
take
the way,
lot.
this is all reflection, right? Like,
Yeah,
obviously, you
yeah,
don't know it in the time, but what
exactly,
reflecting is
exactly.
impactful, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Keep on going,
So I
man. This is
think,
cool.
so I think what that taught me was how to take losses. I think because you will not win all matches, you will not win every competition you get into. You
Mm,
will try about. So
mhm,
and because there was so much intensity, like you were playing a competitive game every 10 days or so, you just
mhm.
had these constant wins and losses. So it just allowed you to, yeah, I mean, losses are fine. And obviously, as a kid, you don't understand that, but I think it just gets slowly ingrained in your DNAs, both in a competitive spirit. Like if you want to do, and there's one interesting example, like we had a football coach, a soccer coach, uh, who would say that, see, outcomes I don't control, like whether we win our match or lose our match. I mean, there could be someone scoring a goal, which is through luck, or you can score 3 goals in a day. But he would not compensate on us not training hard. Like he would say, there's no excuse for you guys not waking up at 6:30 in the morning and coming to the field and working 1.5 hours and then attending your school, because that's important. So I think those some, I would say, uh, some mental models, some grounding kind of came in there. Um, that then I after boarding I went to another small town
Hold on real
in
quick. So
India.
you
Yeah,
you
yeah.
you beautiful, man. You drop gold. Like, you are actually, it's going to be a very easy conversation because you're already understanding the concept, right? And you're just going straight into the insights. A lot of people I might have to massage a little bit, but not a
Right.
lot of massaging here. But I do want to click down on one thing. Well,
Yeah,
you said a lot of different things. There's two things that come to my mind before we keep on progressing. Is one is this competition and taking losses, but as a kid, right?
yeah,
There is a controversial topic, I will call
yeah,
it, but I still want your thoughts, if you're comfortable talking about it, which is in
yeah. Of course.
America, the participation ribbon culture. Uh, when
Mm.
I grew up, you either won or you lost, right? And there is a concept I think is critically important at a young age, which is
Yeah,
do need to understand that loss. And if everybody wins and gets a ribbon because we want everybody to win, I get that sentiment. I totally
yeah,
get that sentiment.
yeah.
But I also think you're doing the youth a disservice because life is brutal,
100%,
man. It
hundred
is
percent,
brutal. And
hundred
so if
percent,
you don't understand the brutality of what's about to hit
hundred
you,
percent. Yeah.
what do you do, right? So I'm assuming you're saying 100%. Any other additional thoughts on that topic?
No, I think, I agree. This is not just true in America. This happens in India also, in Dubai also. This participation culture is, I think, one of the one of the not so great outcomes of, I would say, parents getting too involved in
Yeah.
child's. I think in our age, at our time, at least in my time, I think parents had a hands-off. Listen, they appreciated what schools are supposed to do, and you had these
Mm,
boundary conditions like, hey, school is for certain process, and of course, if you get bullied or stuff like that, then of course they would step in. But I think generally, they had this boundary condition. I think that boundary condition today has been lost. Like you have,
decimated, man.
yeah, and decimated. Exactly, that's the right word. Which I think then it's parental nature. I don't blame anyone. Like if you give parents all the information, then obviously no parents would want their child not to do well, and then it's just a bad cycle to be in.
Right, right.
Um, yeah. So, but I think the interesting thing about at least at least I felt schooling at that time was that you had a lot of opportunities given. So and so it was kind of dependent on a student to figure out where they want to excel. Like someone was very good in debate, someone was very good in education, someone was in tennis. So you had these opportunities, and some people didn't take any of them. That's also fine. But given a choice, you had many opportunities, and people would pick one or two of them. I think that also I see today as a problem. Like
Ooh.
somehow parents feel that my kid has to go to five different things and excel in that, which also aggravates to the his participation theory.
Yeah, dude. And I think so. You said a couple things to follow up, and this is an awesome conversation. Which I would just still what I heard you say is we need to figure out how to get younger people to understand the art of play. And
Yeah, absolutely.
and how like so my example of my childhood coming up is, and this is just because of the time I grew up. I grew up in the 80s, right? I'm in my early 40s. I am like an ancient boomer and compared to the who I deal with on a daily basis in Web3. But I grew up, cell phones, internet, none of this stuff existed, right? And now
Yeah, yeah,
it's insane that in my life, I have a Tesla. That thing can drive from my driveway to my destination, and I am 100% confident it's going to get me there safe. It's
true.
wild, right?
Crazy,
I thought I'd
crazy.
be 80 when I saw that. 80, right? I'm in my 40s, and it's happening.
It's
But
incredible.
when I grew up, man, I would tell my mom I'm leaving at 10 a.m. and I'll be home for dinner.
Yeah,
And I was up to a mile away from my house at times, right? I
yeah,
just
yeah,
walked. We had a lake that we went to, but close to death things happened all the time. And if my
right.
mom knew about these things, she would freak out. And
Yeah,
so in my mind, it's the access to information. It's the scared tactics that happen on your social circles, especially in
yeah.
social media. Is there anything else layered onto there? This whole idea of art of play, what I just said, any additional thoughts there? Agree, disagree, any other thoughts?
No, one final thought. I think. Uh, so I think each generation, when it reflects back, figures that our past generation was more playful, had more opportunities. Like if you speak to your parents, and they would say, "Hey, you, these are some of the things which we used to do better, and therefore learn better." I think what I think we have to be cognizant is that play is important, but the nature of play is changing. So if we are in more social, maybe video games or electronic games probably are equally competitive sport. So, I think and it's just not for parents but for everyone. I think the core concept of playing and winning and losing from that is a constant. That's like a theory.
Yeah,
Now, how do we access that? Whether less physical, more physical, means, forms, those are the things which we as individuals need to evolve.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and and the more we are open to that, I think it will be better. Because I think locking ourselves on the past, like, hey, we used to play from like in evenings till late, and kind of force fitting that. Like we used to rebel when our parents would used to say something like that, right? So I think it's the
Right,
same thing. But yeah,
right,
the core
right.
concept remains the same, man. I think. Uh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
love that insight, right? Because even me reflecting on what I just said,
right.
absolutely could have come off it's the better way. But to your
Yeah,
point, it's the core concept.
yeah,
So, and it's what I've seen, with the people I interact on Web3, their art of play is in this digital world,
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
was so removed from that from growing up that like
Yeah,
I can try to understand that game, but I just don't really feel like doing it. Like I do obviously play it a little bit, but
yeah, yeah,
to truly understand being perpetually online,
yeah,
I don't think I'll ever understand that because I didn't grow up in that way. I didn't play in that way, right? I did
yeah,
see the
yeah,
evolution of the internet, but by the time the
yeah.
evolution, like Napster and all of these things, I was in college, right? And so
Right.
like I didn't have the true like I'm a console gamer for a reason, right? Like
Right.
Nintendo,
Same
Super
here.
Nintendo, like this is what I grew up with. We
Yeah,
now have the generations that grew up on a phone, in social media, with
absolutely.
fast internet, right? Like I'm dialing up on AOL chat, right? Like that's the limit is what I had. So, but I love this concept of don't judge on how you get there, but the core principles are still
Yeah,
the same. The one
exactly.
thing I want to talk about before we move on, because I'm really interested in this, and this is always this concept of you talked about your parents. You
Yeah,
talked about being in these towns and they're working really hard, and
yeah,
you know for the amount of work, not probably
yeah,
getting paid the amount of money they should.
absolutely.
What comes from that? Because there's so I'm interested in the fact that the really successful people come to this podcast either have a situation like that and they
Right,
understand the like the meaning of hard work, but then there's also people that came like myself, man. I grew up in a very comfortable
right.
white middle class America, right?
Yeah,
Like I had everything that I needed. I had a beautiful childhood, but I still always had a knack to play and create, right? So
yeah,
talk to me about your frame of reference growing up with
sure,
your kind of house environment.
sure. So I think that's a great question. I think there are two, three elements for me to touch upon. Uh, One is, and this is a very interesting arc. Like when you start going into a job or when you start earning your first salary, I think your immediate reaction is to go towards luxury because you
Ooh.
have kind of not been there. So you immediately go towards like that's I would say when I started my career, I think a lot of my first few years would be how do I get that trajectory up, and then I think at some point maybe 30s, early 30s, you get this realization, which because that's actually core you that these are not really the things to chase for. Like you have actually grown from humble roots, so chasing luxury is not the goal. I mean, that's an outcome which can happen or not happen, but just enjoying because you like I still say that okay, you can still survive and like I can go still to a tier two town in India and live a very decent life. And that's still possible. So you kind of have this mental adjustment. So you go through this loop, high spike of let's get everything which is possible with money, try to do that. And you achieve a certain amount of success and then you kind of have this tapering, so that I think comes from that thing. The other thing I think
Yeah.
these typically these towns teach you I think two things they teach very well. One is because everyone is kind of on at an equal keel, you start to respect people a lot. There's just general sense of respect to elders, to you speak to. Like one of the things which my parents would always tell was like and this is like an often quoted thing. How do you treat maids at home? Like India has, you have opportunities to get maids around, and you have all those stuff. So how do you treat them? How do you respect them? That is a very natural flow thing which happens there. And third, I think is an interesting concept which again, whose benefit I didn't realize early on is that you learn languages quite well, whether it's English or because this is a very while the salaries may not be there, but this is a very educated lower middle class which is there. So there's a lot of emphasis on education, which means your ability to speak in English, you in other languages. Like usually you will have couple of languages, so you have more conversant, more confident in that. And I think those benefits don't come out immediately. Like, but let's say compared to someone else or some other country where hypothetically English is not their native language, you will find people struggling for that. I think India
Mm,
has been blessed with that, but I think particularly in our case, we just were always confident in speaking out
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
because you were educated in that way. So that I think those are small benefits which just kind of come out at
Wow.
really end.
Small? Those are
I mean,
massive benefits.
they're small, look small and
Yeah.
painful at that time, but yeah, in
Here's
future
something I
it's
realized to reflect on what you just said. I I've made one of the rare what would consider unpopular decisions in America because we are the land of the free, the independent. It's frowned upon almost, which is a really, I think America needs to figure this out and fix it as quickly as possible. If you're living with your parents or taking care of your elders, it's weird,
right.
right? And
Okay.
I um I sold my very expensive home in Silicon Valley Bay Area, and now I'm in a generational home with my in-laws, and
Nice.
they're retired, and we
Yeah.
help with the bills, and I've got full-time daycare as an exchange. And I
Perfect.
will tell you this, man, by far the most impactful thing I've done in my life.
Yeah.
And I don't now I get not everybody can do it, right? Because there
Yeah.
might be I'm gonna take that back. Everybody can do it. They just don't want to put in the work to have the relationships, which is unfortunate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but the exponential benefit that I've
Yes,
gotten in my
totally.
life is unbelievable. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I've really seen it impact, there's two things I've really seen it impact on. My emotion and my security of being
Hmm.
able to be more creative. Because
Right.
it makes sense, right? You have family
Yeah.
with now shared wealth, and
Exactly.
it creates way more flexibility. So
Yeah.
if I were to lose a job or see financial hardship, it doesn't really stress me out anymore because I
True.
know that I have that extra support. That's one,
True.
which is, I think the biggest stress we ever put on our life is financial. People just put themselves in horrible situations because of
Yeah.
what you said. And
Yeah.
they just don't think about the consequences of how much anxiety and pressure it puts on a human being. So that's one.
Absolutely.
Two, dude, seeing my little one grow up and having double the amount of love and
Yeah.
care and attention, it's
Incredible.
amazing to me
Yeah.
how quickly this man has developed. And unfortunately, my in-laws have been in education for decades, right? So they were teachers all kinds. He's
Perfect.
constantly stimulated every day. I mean,
Perfect.
this kid's not even 2 yet. He's already counting to 10. He's saying his
Nice.
ABCs. Like, it's insane, right? Because
Crazy.
we have that extra time to give that need and care, which is critical at this moment in time. Dude,
Totally.
just incredible. Best thing I've ever done. But if you were to ask anybody in America what I've done, they'd be like, literally everyone's like, how do you do that? And I'm like,
And
listen,
then,
of course, it's not perfect all the time. But if
yeah.
you were to take the exponential level up in my life
Yeah.
compared to but here's the crazy thing, man. If you understand how people work, and if you let things roll over your shoulders in gratitude, grace,
Right.
if you can practice those, there's no reason you can't do it. And it's been
Yeah.
an exponential unlock for me. Any thoughts about the importance of legacy and family and taking care of your elders?
So I think in India we are kind of like this is almost like no expected. This is how we should be living. Like in India, it's been very clear for us. Like
Yeah.
my elder parents, like as of now, they stay somewhere else, but at certain point, they know that they have full freedom. They usually come and stay at my place for 2 to 3 months a year. So it's
Yeah.
almost like like if you are not doing this, then someone will question you like, why are your parents? You're not supporting them. Why are you not like doing stuff? So it's an interesting like culturally very different, but and I agree. I think like I always say, there's uh, like the people who we discount the most are our parents usually, but they are also the ones from whom we can learn a lot. So I think the more uh, I don't I think there's a I'll probably share this article with you. There's an author called Thomas Puyo. He writes a blog called Uncharted Territories, and he shows a very interesting graph on the time you spend. So he says that till 18, on an average, you will spend like X number of hours with your parents. And after that, there's an exponential decay on the number of hours you like. After 35 or 40, you spend like on an aggregate basis. And he kind of picks up US data on more that you will spend like very, very few weeks with your parents over the next 40 years. Uh,
Right.
so, so I think, yeah, for us, it's like, yeah, just being there with them is kind of a natural thing for us. I think that's
Yeah, it's really mind blowing to me how's it panned out in the U.S. and I think it's
yes.
something that needs to be fixed for sure, dude.
Yeah, I think so.
We're almost 45 minutes in, and we're not even halfway through chapter 1. Man. So let's. I want to be cognizant of the time, but I
Yeah,
mean, like I told you, bro, this has been gold bomb after gold bomb. You're just killing it. So thank you so much for your insights. Let's
sure.
move on to kind of more high school and let's get
Yeah,
into the college. I'm gonna stop right here though. And people, we have literally talked about the art of play. We have
yeah,
talked about participation culture, learning how to lose. That is such a monumental insight. Don't chase expensive things. Level playing field and the respect for elders. And then the language insight was awesome too. We're not going to touch on that because we have so much more to talk about.
yeah,
But we almost have 100 people watching right now. You guys need to retweet, comment, because the stuff that we're talking about, this is the content in my mind that needs to be shared on social media. So please do that. We're going to start getting into chapter 2 here. But so let's have at it, man. Let's get into more of the high school and then we'll start rolling
yeah,
into the kind of like college. Well, everyone else calls it university. Americans, for some reason, call it college.
sure. Uh, I think high school. I mean, of course, teenage years and like I told you about competition and stuff. So
Mhm.
there's a very distinct phenomena, especially in smaller towns in India. Again, is uh, that you have two big, I would say, entrance exams. One is for
Mhm.
one is called IIT, which is for in exam to get into the top engineering colleges in India, and then you have another exam which is for joining top medical schools in India to become a doctor and stuff. So
Right.
I think before you enter high school, you have a decision to make whether you want to be towards the medical side or towards engineering side. I took the decision to be on the engineering side, um, and and I think those 3 years were, I think, reasonably rough for me. Uh, so in the sense, I like that Mike Tyson's quote that you only realize you have been hit when the first punch like hits you on the face.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think it was that kind of experience where I was a good student, but I think you kind of start to realize that you are not coping as well as possible. You're not learning, and you may not do well in this competitive exam, and that kind of then snowballs into effect. So and then you have a lot of social pressure around you, like because you have been a good student, so your family, your extended family, it's a small town, so a lot of people expecting, oh, this your son will definitely cross this and will go through that. So I would say that I think was a I wouldn't say a blow, but I think it was a good reality check for me that sometimes uh, hard work and being smart is not necessarily the
Mm.
success mantra for you. Sometimes there's some factors beyond your control also. And again, there's nothing I realized at that point. So my engineering therefore happened from a very average or a mediocre college. Like
Right.
uh, and 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 in hindsight, I think that I probably had a knack for something else, on maybe on economics or some kind of mathematical stuff rather than engineering. But that's how the cards were dealt. I mean, in those places. So joined. I would say a very mediocre engineering college. But again, that's where I think uh, life throws you some interesting twists and turns. So if you're in a mediocre engineering college and if you're reasonably smart, you suddenly become top of the pack very quickly. And you surround yourself with people who are like you very quickly. So you would have a group of, let's say, 10, 15 people who are, for whatever reason, who are not in the top engineering college, but are incredibly smart people. And then your general, I would say, I think that, so I would say, so engineering India is for 4 years. So I would say from second year to my final engineering year, there was a massive growth in my learning, my thinking, because I was just surrounded by some incredibly smart people
Right.
who just pushed me around. And yeah, and then I think we knew that from this engineering college, the chance of getting a decent job was very hard.
Hmm.
So again, this is something unique to India. Like post engineering, you can immediately do an MBA, which is sounds very weird. Like how would you do that? But I think
Right.
we always backward optimize. Like what's the fastest way for me to get a decent job. So I figured out that I don't want to do engineering anymore beyond like my 4 years and do masters and go to US, give GRE and go to US. So I said I will probably try to do this MBA thing in India, and I did well. Joined IIM Mumbai, which again was an immense learning experience because you were surrounded with extremely smart people.
Right.
So that's I think. So I would say if you say in a nutshell, I think. Uh, you had some tough blows, which as a teenager kind of put you down. But then I got lucky that I just had some really incredible people around me who made me more confident, got my mojo back, and then went to IIM Mumbai, which is one of the top B schools in India. Again, similarly, like very smart people around you, which push you or level up. So yeah, man, and then the whole career started after that.
So sorry. The abstract thing was missing. I was not listening.
No, this is good.
Dude. Here's what I'm interested in. So the last thing that you said, and what I heard was so I think there's a benefit to this, right? Which is you're actually from such a young age, this academic career growth, everything going on,
Yeah,
um, and you're picking engineering or medical school at such a young age. It creates that culture of excellence and wanting to do
yeah,
more.
yeah.
What I'm interested in is the negative sides of that. I have my own personal opinions.
Yeah,
Do you like what are the negative impacts to that?
I think one of the biggest negative impacts I would say is uh, that I think you discount the value of time you had. Like engineering was a 4 year course, and I could have achieved similar outcome or better outcome by doing a course which I really liked for 3 years and kind of doing the same thing. So one is that you kind of don't, because you're young, you don't really think, oh, 3 years, 4 years. Only in hindsight you realize that 1 year matters a lot. I think second, um, because your vision is very narrow, you don't see the opportunities which kind of marry to your personality. So if you are a analytical person, maybe, or a person who has ability to do good arguments, maybe a legal or a lawyer degree or a career was a more better career for me. Or something on economics, which I said like is a very logical subject to do stuff around. So that's the other thing I think, which I think now has changed because internet has allowed that proliferation to happen. But I think those are the I think, and third I think and this is true for pretty much all Asian countries where you go to Singapore, Korea, Japan, India, China. Uh, you kind of are in extreme pressure. There is absolutely, because you know that your parents are from a middle or middle class family, so they can't really support things beyond a point. Most
Mm,
people would take education loans in India also. Uh, so you know that you have to achieve something very quickly. And also on the other hand, you know that you are at certain intelligence level, so you have to achieve good things quickly, and you have had a failure earlier. So there's like interesting pressure cooker situation,
mhm.
which I think can work in both ways. I think for me, luckily, the outcomes were good. But I've seen people who have not done well and who have not enjoyed those. Like I really enjoyed my 3, 4 years of engineering, and I've seen people who have not enjoyed these because it was just too much pressure for them. And
Right.
yeah, so
So,
I think yeah,
follow-up question. I talk about this every show because it's a very important thing that near and dear to my heart, but I think for everybody to understand. In my mind, what you just described stunts um exploration
yeah,
because you're driven into a thing, which I think exploration is just a fundamental factor for creativity.
yeah,
Now,
100%.
I don't think creativity, I think actually a lot of people misinterpret creativity as art. And if I can
No,
draw or
it's
I
not.
can paint, I'm creative.
No,
All
yeah,
that is a tool set, right? Which is
yeah,
already, by the way, decimated by AI.
yeah,
So now
correct.
everybody is an artist, which is a beautiful
Yeah.
thing, right? It's
Amazing.
actually
Yeah,
there obviously artists are really pissed off and
yeah,
people are not understanding how this world is changing so quickly. But
yeah,
if we really understand the unlock that just happened,
yeah,
now all of humanity that has access to a cell phone signal is an
yeah,
artist. Like
exactly.
that
It's
is a
amazing.
massive unlock, right?
It's massive.
So, but my point to my question to you is, it seems like you're agreeing on like this regimented thing might can stunt creativity, but I'm just gonna go actually even a broader question is, um, even in that environment, did it still give you opportunities to be creative, and how do you interpret creativity yourself?
Uh, So I would say like my interpretation of creativity is very similar to you. I think anyone who codes is creative, anyone who writes is creative, anyone who solves problem in an interesting manner is a creative person. The creativity is a very broad stroke. I think unfortunately we have narrowed it down to fine arts and movie production and stuff like that. I think it's a very I think Elon Musk is incredibly creative person to think and imagine those things, right? So so I think the scope is much broader. I think in our scenario, and again these are the interesting things which you'll kind of figure out in hindsight. Like I would always try to do stuff which was slightly different from whatever people were doing. Like because I didn't think I realized that, but I always had this itch of trying to do something new, something interesting. Whether it worked or failed, that was separate, but always trying to do something. So your creativity, you had options to express your creativity, but it was always limited in the boundary conditions of the course you are studying. Like if you're engineering course, maybe you can answer a question in a creative manner, you can do an experiment in a more creative manner, or you can build a project which is more creative, but it was still, I would say, bound in those
Mm-hmm.
guardrails. Like you didn't have an option of say, hey, I am creatively thinking of writing, let's say, a book, and can I get credits for that? Or so you just didn't
Right,
have those options at
right,
that point.
right. And do you think not openly talking about it, and like obviously this is a reflection, right? And you're not
Yeah,
knowing what's going on at the time.
yeah.
Do you think that's a little bit of a disservice, or are you comfortable with it, or do you feel okay about the system that's kind of in place?
No, I think I have a huge, like I'm generally super antsy about the education system in general. Like I
Mhm.
think they do I think there is a lot of disservice to students per se. And again, I don't think this is one person's, like you can't say that this is teacher's fault or you can't say this is school's fault. This is systemic
Of
problem.
course,
Like
of
we,
course.
for example, like the parents are, I think, equally responsible. Like if you promote participation culture, then the education culture is also going to get impacted, right?
Right,
Uh,
right.
so I think I have a Generally I'm like super like antsy against.
Yeah,
I don't have a good answer, to be honest. Like I don't like that's why I
totally cool.
don't speak too much publicly around this, because I think you should not speak if you don't have a good answer to it or good hypothesis on how to solve this. So I
I
do
love it.
understand the problem.
So I'm the
But
opposite, right? Because I just want to be, I want to be felt, because I think it's interesting. I love that frame, right?
yeah,
But it's interesting to me because I'm the complete opposite. Because at some point, I think you need to start the conversation, even if you don't
yeah,
have like a thought, right?
absolutely,
I love that
absolutely.
perspective though too, because I think, and this actually brings up a concept that comes up all the time is we live in a world of far too much black and white. And
Yeah,
right, there's grays to everything. We are in a gray
exactly.
world, people, right? And there
100%.
are many
100%.
shades of gray. And this is an
Yeah,
example of that, right? Like, do you
yeah,
start the conversation or you wait till you have a formal answer?
yeah,
You might have an answer on this though, and then we can start getting into the end of chapter 2 and into chapter 3, because I'm really interested
right.
in your kind of professional career and where
Yeah,
it went through this. Already incredible insights, man. But my one question is, I drank a lot of alcohol in my 20s and I totally just lost the thought, and it was a really, really good thought. What were we just talking about? Education. Dude, it was such a good thought. What did we just say? Oh, this is it. You didn't have a thought on this, but you are working on AI right now. I am
yeah,
interested if you do have a thought on, as AI comes into the education system,
yeah,
do we think this is a massive unlock? Like I said, that like now
yeah,
every kid is an artist, every
yeah,
kid is a coder, right? How
yeah.
do you think this unfolds over the next 5 years for education? What is your thoughts there?
So, so this is probably one of my favorite topics. And this is like people around me know this. This is one of my favorite questions to ask Chat GPT or Claude. Anyone is like society as we know as of now. I think values knowledge. Like if you are very well educated, whether you're a lawyer or an entrepreneur, but if you have a lot of knowledge, society values you a lot, right? Both in terms of reputation and monetary. But with AI, everyone has same knowledge. Then what does society value? And I keep throwing this to ChatGPT, and we keep on having this long thread of conversations. And I think one of the things which keeps coming up from that and is like there's few things which make us as humans unique. One is grit and perseverance, because you can't really teach grit and perseverance to an AI model. Like even if it gives a bad response, you have to have the grit to work on it, and figure that out. The second thing it would keep on saying is that I think as of now, we are still way better in tangential thinking. Like you could, like in a podcast, you're traveling to Hawaii and you figure out something which is beautiful, and you can correlate that thought into your podcast. But that I think it's impossible for AI to do that unless until you prompt it in certain ways. So, so which kind of brings me to the point that I think education, those are the attributes or those are the traits I think we have to build in our education system. I don't think teaching people like teaching math for the sake of maths is not important, but teaching them maths so that they have this grit of problems, doing a problem right and failing it 3 times and doing it fourth time right. That is
Mhm,
more important outcome. So I think
mhm.
that's where I think for me education should go. Like and figuring out that math problem and solving something in biology. That those are the creative leaps which I hope education system builds upon.
Yeah, yeah,
Because knowledge is going to be a commodity. So these are the attributes I think.
dude.
Yeah,
I love it. And I think that is the one thing that is gonna take a while for AI to.
correct.
I think eventually, man, it's gonna be close, right?
Eventually, eventually close.
Eventually, it's gonna be close with
Yeah,
humans. But for
correct,
now, it is bridging those gaps, right? I think I'm
correct.
in project management in my day job, and I think that's actually a job that will stay for a while, because
Yeah,
strategic project management is connecting those dots, right?
exactly.
Uh, but the that one project manager is going to have 100x output, because all of the information is
Absolutely,
there and it's way quicker.
absolutely.
Because I will say a majority of my job is talking to people trying to get the right information. If I have
Exactly.
the right information at my fingertips in seconds, game
Yeah.
changer, right? I can get so much done. Um,
Oh, absolutely. But your skill will still be there. Like even when you get this information, how do you like finally you're interacting with humans? How do you process and give that information out? Like everyone has a way. Like sometimes you will be hard to someone, sometimes you will cajole them. So you will. Those are the skills uh, which I think just the way our brain has evolved. I think we just like you said, your AI, your brain's AI will figure things out intuitively. I think AI will eventually I hope reach there, but that's still I think a journey for it, and that's where I think
right. I mean, I don't
yeah,
think we're too far a ways. I'm thinking in single digit years, low
yeah,
single digit years, where
yeah,
AI will prompt itself, and then
yeah,
what becomes
100%.
there, I don't know what the next step is, but it'll be interesting. I
Yeah,
do the one last thing, and so I think personal human relationships and connecting and understanding the nuances of people and
yeah,
have conversations. I
yeah,
actually think it all boils down to this. Hence why I
absolutely.
do what I do. Like my
Yeah,
my core mission statement, I wrote a multiple page manifesto with my co-founder that started our media company, which was bringing back the lost art of genuine human connection. As we're more connected, we're more disconnected than ever before. Anxiety,
yeah.
depression, all of these things, right?
You, I mean, this reminds me. I mean, have you seen the movie Her?
Yeah, yeah,
In Phoenix. So I think I keep telling you this example, like the job of Joaquin Phoenix is to write handwritten letters, because that does not exist in that AI futuristic
right,
world.
right.
And I think that's what your point is. Like those are the things which will matter, like something which amplifies human connection and
Yeah.
relationships. I think those finally will matter a lot.
And so here's the other thing too, is back to your interpretation thought.
Yeah,
What most people don't realize is, uh, was it Spike Lee that made that? I don't remember who made that.
I
Famous
don't
director.
remember.
Famous director made it, right? It's actually a horror movie. Like that is what it was set up to be. Everyone interprets it as a
Oh,
love story, but
interesting.
the whole point of the movie is she used him. And
Yeah,
when she
absolutely.
got all the information that she wanted from him,
Yeah,
she moved on.
it's
And
moved
that's
on.
the life that we need to start understanding. And again, it goes back to human interpretation of what's
Yeah,
really happening. And that
right.
is so the people that walked away and realized, oh, this is more than just a love story, that
Yeah,
critical thinking is so valuable and is going
right,
to be
right.
so valuable in the future. So that's just another way to say that, which I think is really
Oh,
interesting. Because if you ask everybody, oh yeah, it's a love story, and it's like, no,
yeah,
it's way
yeah.
deeper than this, people.
Way deeper than
Um,
that. 100%. 100%. 100%.
beautiful, beautiful conversation. Let's get into. We have well over 100 people watching us right now. We're going to take this break. Retweet, comment. And by the way, the people that watch us on the podcast, you can comment now. We can have a conversation. I check my DMs and comments on the podcast platform. So please, if you're listening to this after the live situation, comment about the things that are impactful to you. Because when I hear and get the comments about what's impactful, those are tend to be the moments that I like to share more. So thank you for everybody for watching. Let's move on, man, to kind of the professional career, and then we'll get into Web3.
Sure. Like I said, I passed out from Mumbai. Worked in, I would say, multiple banks in India, primarily on their corporate banking, investment banking side. And like I said, it was a race to go fast and do well. And I think Touchwood, no outward. I think everything was working fine. I was doing well, both in terms of my career, professionally, financially. I think everything was going well. And then uh, I suddenly had this. I think so. This is like after 6 years in my career. I think you kind of tend to you just know the playbook better, so you kind of start to slightly get bored out of things. So you have a team below
Mm,
you, so you you're still doing well and you're still competitive and you still want to be the top performer of that cohort and stuff like that. But you just know the playbook better. So you can you have some time to think around with yourself. So I think there are two, I would say, seminal moments happened in my life which changed everything for me. One was I discovered Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, which is very, very, I would say, a common thing to say. But I just absolutely, I like, apart from the investment side, I just fell in love with the whole stoicism philosophy of how playing the game is more important than just playing for the outcomes. Uh, how you can be competitive and respectful at same time. So like a lot of those learnings, and we luckily at that point of time we had this small group of, I think those people in India are probably uh, really expert fund managers who are kind of really the big shots in India. I think we were together as a group, so I and we would discuss while we discuss a lot of stock ideas and stuff, but we would also discuss a lot of these things on how to get your mental models better, how to like how do you take an investment decision which has physics inspired in it. So you just had built this very interesting, absolute crazy learning curve. And the second thing which happened was my a reportee of mine, his brother was at a senior position in eBay India, and that was where I think e-commerce was taking off in India. And I just randomly told him that well, there's no chance of me moving from banking to eBay, but why don't you just forward my resume to him? Like, let's see if something happens. And his name is Amandeep. And somehow Aman thought, in whatever his wisdom, that there is some interesting role they were carving out which fitted my profile. And I think I just made that massive switch. So 7 years of my life, I've dressed always formally in suits, and I go to eBay office first day in suit or in formal dress, and everyone is like, "What the fuck? Why are you doing this?" Like, and everyone there is in jeans and shorts. I'm like, "Oh shit!" And that probably is the day since that I have never had any formal clothes in my life. Uh, but for me, that was a huge pivotal moment because that's when I kind of again got back to my whole creative cycle, because you could see the tech culture, you could see how things were getting shaped. You could just like I was not doing any of those things, but you just had this intense amount of energy around there. People are building products, people are shipping things. It's a great dynamic market. So you're learning constantly around that. So I think I would say, yeah. So I had three and a half years stint at eBay. That was a massive learning curve from you. And there was also a learning curve because I got exposed to global teams. So like my super boss was a gentleman in US called John Courtney, who was huge on learning and stuff around that. So just had this immense, like I said, in those 2 3 years in engineering and B school were very important. And I would say these were even more profound from my growth perspective, just had a very broader outlook around that. And then post eBay, there was a colleague or a senior in PayPal who was starting a fintech startup in India in digital lending, and he approached me that why don't you join? By that time, I was so geared up on my creative and experimental side. I was like, fuck it, this is what like I have lived
Nice.
eBay 3 4 years. I know this. Let's do this. Let's do us, and that's why I think. So I was the fifth guy to join them, and then that was a good run another for 2.5 years, which we finally that company got sold to PayU. So that was where I think I learned a lot of 0 to 1 kind of thinking on how do you go from 5 member team to a 500 member team. What are the challenges, ups and downs?
Talk to me a little bit
Um,
about that. I think people hear 0 to 1 all the time. What are your
yeah.
top 2 to 3 points of going to 0 to 1? What's importance, insights, anything you can share?
So I think first is I think people say that 0 to 1 as one step. Actually, it's 100 small steps broken down in
Mm.
between.
Hmm.
And each step has a different, like you might go from 0 to 0.2 very quickly. And the same tactics which you use from 0 to point 2 to going to 0.4 will not work at all. So I
Mm.
think, so one is that 0 to 1 itself is very, very small steps in between. So that's like a mental framework. Like, okay, so you don't have to think that, hey, I will go from, let's say, zero revenue to 1 million revenue in 1 year, and that's 0 to 1. No, you have to think what happens on a weekly basis. How do I What's my weekly target? How do I meet weekly target? If those don't get met, how do I adapt myself? The second thing which I think now is changing, at least at that point of time, was on people. Like as you linearly, as you exponentially rather scale up, your you will always lag behind hiring because your growth has come up, and then now you are doing a catch up. So your hiring skills just go next level because now you can't hire the conventional way of finding a resume or someone to kind of, you just have to go to the market. Like my boss used to say in this startup, that the best people are never looking to change. So you have to convince them to come to you. And so
Mm,
that's the mental model. Like you just have to figure out, okay, for my business to do well, I need these 7 people. I'm sure they are working in some really cushy jobs. Now I have to go and convince them to get them in. So
yeah.
that's, I think, the second hack. And third is, like, of course, which I think a lot of people know, you have to hack a lot of things. Your tech will not work at the same speed. Your business might be slower than tech. So you just have to hack things around. We used to live a lot on Google Sheets at that point of time. Uh, just getting your hands dirty, I think that's a constant. I think there is, like, this other misconception is that once you reach from 0 to 1, after 1 you don't have to get your hands dirty. I think that does not happen. You just have
Mm,
to you just have to be constantly at it,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
is what high growth startups are actually. So that was, I think, super fun, super, again, crazy amount of learning, crazy amount of fun. And then I started my own fintech startup, uh, which was around a wealth tech, essentially helping people take better financial decision in Indian markets.
Mm,
And and we built the product right. And I think we were doing. I think we had just started this 0 to 1 journey. We had a product out, and before we were about to raise our capital. The first wave of COVID hit, and which meant there was absolutely zero funding at all. So I think those 1.5 years were uh, extremely hard and painful because you were just trying to
right.
figure out ways to raise capital. Um, you still haven't had the product, but you just didn't have a kind of yeah. I mean, it was like, yeah. I mean, it was really hard to. You could go to friends, family for 1 round, but you can't go constantly go to them
Right.
for 2 rounds.
Mhm.
And and a lot of our thinking of distributing products in pre-COVID and post-COVID world were very different. So to that extent, I think I didn't have a good insight or a grasp of that. I think I was kind of still fixated in my thinking. So that those, I think, 1.5, 2 years were hard. And I think also, I think, self-reflective in the sense on why, like, a lot of things which would come naturally. Uh, like uh, one of the core mistakes which I see a lot of founders do, and I did myself, was uh, you have to take a call on how do you want to build the business. Like when I started, I raised some amount of money, and I thought I had runway for 12, 15 months, and in that I should ship my product. And then I said, post that, I will not, like, in those 12, 15 months, you will be revenue positive, you'll never raise capital, stuff like that, right? Very pure thinking of how to build a business. But the fact that our business was a tech business meant that we should not have done that. We should have spent those money in couple of months, hired as many people as possible, built a product out very, very quickly instead of taking 6 months, and then go to market fast and try to raise capital because the
Mm,
business demanded capital. So I think that's a
mm,
mistake which I keep seeing founders do. Uh, that you kind of think that this is a business which does not require venture money, and then you don't, but it actually requires venture money, or you do have a business which does not is not a venture money, and you choose go after venture capital,
yeah.
and it creates heartburns in both situations. It caused for me a lot. Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of
Is
the
another way
two.
of
Yeah.
interpreting this, and this was one of the questions I was going to ask, is it's much
Just
easier
one
to
second.
raise.
I'll just put my laptop on charge. Just one second.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
People, Unbelievable conversation. Like so many nuggets here. The viewers are rapidly growing. Do the thing. Retweet, comment. I want to say, like, there's not enough comments. Come over to Abstract, look at the comment on the live stream. That's way easier to talk. People leave comments on Twitter is the worst platform to have a live stream. Unfortunately, that's where the audience lives, right? I would much rather, and I'm probably going to start. I did Twitch a lot. I actually have thousands of followers on Twitch, and I haven't streamed in like over a year.
Sure.
I think I'm gonna go back there, but I think I have to, because I'm streaming to so many platforms. I think I'm capped at 3, but I'm gonna just pay to get back on Twitch too. So come on over to Abstract, leave some comments because we're having such a meaningful conversation. I think this is what. So the other way that I interpreted what you said, and I'm actually building with I think I started to build with a bunch of AI guys from that Builders Club I was talking about. And we're having this conversation right now. And I think this is my theory and kind of aligns with what you said. One, if you get venture capital, spend it. But it is way more, it's way easier to have a conversation about money if you have reference of your product working in the market and seeing the impact of it, which goes back to, this is amazing to me, right? We actually have, I've called, so I have my podcast business, and I've met my co-founder and literally like friend soulmate for life. This guy Bubble. I can't wait for you guys to meet because you're gonna have an incredible conversation.
Right.
And so we do strategy for founders. And dude, it is fascinating to me. The amount of really, really smart people I talk to. And they immediately go to the why, and they are not answering the question. I mean, they immediately go to the what, and they are not answering the question of why, or does the consumer, their quote unquote product, do people even give a shit, man?
Yeah.
Is that a problem that you still see rampant? Because I see it.
Yeah, I think it's still, and I think I would say I see it way more in Web3 than in Web2. Because I think the Web3, the incentives are even more perverse. So you will have people solving, I would say, problems which either they have, which have been already, someone is already solving, and you do a copy pasta of that. You will see that a lot. Otherwise, you will see products which are over-engineered and there are just no users. Like I keep chatting to these consumer products, like who are building stuff on top of DeFi and using AI agents and stuff. And my only argument to them is like, why is your UI UX for Web3? Like Web3, the audience size is so small that you are never going to get any meaningful revenue.
100%.
It's a great product. Take it to Web2. Like. And there are, like maybe a couple of years ago, we didn't have that option. Now we have an ability, and I think the customer awareness is much higher, but you have an option. So, so I keep seeing that quite a bit.
How about though them, the why part, right? They don't even have the why part right, and they're just going, because I've seen people go, they're spending money, right? And they're spending all of their time. They don't even know if anybody cares.
So I think this is a interesting, I would say, conversation because something, I think when you start up, I think you have so there are two things. You have this very pure why in your head. Either you have a very pure why in your head, or you just start because you think that this is your calling. Like, I have to build something out. I have to start something out. And in this process of building, I will figure out the why. Like, why am I doing this? So who is my consumer? So I have always been probably on the second bucket. Like the whole pitch pilot idea, it was something I'm not even sure like how will people come and experience this out. But I personally felt in my experience that if I had got good feedback, and if I was able to practice VC calls, and I've seen so many founders struggle, so let's build this out and we'll see where it goes and what is the broader consumers pain point we'll figure out. So I think this is like you have both set of founders. I would say, like someone who is super clear on their why, and they go very sharp and very fast. And some of us like were not very clear on the why, but they know that this is our calling. Like we have to build stuff, which is what we want. And maybe that's our why. Like we have to build
Dude,
stuff. That's
amazing
and then
insight. And again, grays, right? There's no right or wrong answer. I do
exactly,
think the
exactly.
fundamental denominator between both of those concepts are you have to produce something as quick as
Yeah,
possible to get feedback,
absolutely,
right? And
absolutely.
that's the whole, design thinking, iterative cycle, Silicon
Yeah,
Valley startup stuff.
yeah.
Before we're starting to get into Web3, my last question to you: one or two, you dropped so many great insights. One or two additional failures in how they impacted you, and you continue to go back to those to remind yourself on how to continue to level up. Any thoughts there?
So I think my I would say fair share of failures would be in my startup only. I
Hmm.
think before that I won't say uh, there were any issues like I was
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah. So I think in my share, I think one was of course that you need, like I said, you have to have clarity on like I won't even say clarity. I think you have to be true to yourself. Like I
Mm,
keep seeing this. I keep saying this dimension. Like if you are if and again this could be true only for India. So maybe this is a regional thing. Like I say that you have two dimensions to chase as a founder. Either it's fame or money, and and coincidentally, if you are on the venture path, you actually chase fame because you will once you raise capital, you are on Twitter, you are on Economic Times, you are on all newspapers, you are suddenly the hero. Whereas if you chase money, which is our old traditional business in India, you will never hear from them for 20, 30 years and they are billionaires. And they have no intention of coming there. So I think my that was my big failure that I couldn't index myself on one of the vectors. Like,
mm,
should I be here? Should I be here? And that meant that I would always take decisions which were not suboptimal, right? Because in your head you have this cognitive dissonance. You're not very clear. Yeah. So I think that was, yeah, I think that's something which I keep going back to. Like now when I'm building Pitch Pilot, what's my what's my index? Like should we try and think about a VC raise? Because is that fame thing and the pressure which comes with that I want to chase? Or do I don't want to do a VC raise and build it organically at my pace? But because probably it will have a better monetary outcome, but no one will know me. Like so you
yeah,
have to like it's not a like people will try to achieve both, I think, but you have to probably index on one, and then second thing can happen eventually. But yeah,
yeah.
that's what my biggest learning was, I guess.
And I amazing insight. So, and I am in the camp of I want to build organically because I don't want pressure of
Yeah,
somebody telling me and give me a ton of
exactly,
money, because then it
exactly. Same.
takes away the ethos and the what I think the special sauce of what I'm building is, which is
Absolutely.
my light, my
Yeah,
purpose, all of these
yeah,
things, right?
exactly.
And that just brings it to purpose. Uh,
Yeah.
how in your because you've had a really robust experience, whether working for tech companies and now building your own tech companies, what are some of the tactics that you have learned, or do you think yourself about purpose? That's general topic.
Um, I think for me, I think purpose, I think changes its meaning as we mature in our
Mhm.
lives. And so I think, like I said, my initial purpose was grow fast, get financial, chase the luxury, do foreign travels, all the stuff which you see keep seeing on Twitter for a lot of people doing that, and I completely understand where that is coming from. But now I think if you reflect back now, I think, uh, and might sound extremely hackneyed, it's a very internal purpose. Like, am I happy or not? Uh, am I doing everyday creative work or not? Like I get really antsy if I say I like I d- like that's one of the reasons why we have a quant fund which does everything automated, is because I don't want to trade constantly. I would rather want to create something which is fun for me.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
thankfully, you have some kind of financial cushion, so you can obviously explore that. So I think purpose itself keeps on changing. Um, but yeah, I think at core, a lot of it goes back to like what we discussed earlier, like failures, childhood basics, like being respectful. I think I'm like uh, hugely inspired by all these Warren Buffett's, Mungers, and Stoicism. That the more you give out, the more you get in. Like I think you should. Your just generally philosophy is to help more people without expectation of getting anything back. Like once you start enjoying that, I think things serendipity works for you in amazing ways.
Isn't it
Uh,
incredible?
Serendipity is the most beautiful. Like my all my big breaks have been because of serendipity. So I have like anyone who says to me, I said, this is what you need to chase.
Yeah. Yeah, it just recently happened to me. Like, I used to manage brand for Geico's car insurance company, and we spent billions of dollars on advertising. And
Yeah,
my name came up in a client dinner of a guy that I used to work with that spent a lot of our money on the digital side, and we reconnected. And sure enough, he's at the same point of his life too. This just inevitably happens with everybody. Is
yeah,
they make the money, they get their fame, and they're like, "Oh man, what am I really about?" And
yeah.
he's working on building a company to give that high level access to, like, because you really can't play the big game unless you have that level of money
Yeah,
when it comes to media,
absolutely,
right? So
absolutely.
how does he take that skill set and apply it to small, medium businesses, right?
Nice.
Because I actually do think we're moving to, and I would love your thought, and now we'll get into AI and stuff. I just want to be cognizant though. Do you have a hard stop? Do you have another like 20 minutes?
I have 20 minutes. Yeah, we can go
Okay,
back.
perfect. 20
Perfect.
minutes. It's been, I just couldn't move on from chapter one to
Yeah, I
chapter.
mean,
Like I told
this
you,
is
this is a majority of what we're doing, anyways.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
this conversation alone, you could, and this is what I'm excited to have follow-up conversations. I think this is what investors care about.
yeah,
Um, you hear time and time again, investors just want to know who the human is, because
right.
you can get very quickly, is there a product market fit? What's the total addressable
Yeah,
market? All of these different financials, right? AI will figure that out, right?
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
what we're doing here matters, and that's who you ultimately invest in as a human.
Yeah.
So, uh, the alcohol hit me again. I had such a good question again. What were we saying?
Um, yes, you said something you want to discuss on AI, but before that, we were chatting about
Um,
purpose and
I lost it.
Web3 maybe. Or...
I don't know, man. So let's just move on to chapter 3, which is we have. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. I got it. One of the things that I'm cooking up and working with all the AI people, and then this guy that we're talking about, I actually think that we're moving more towards a solopreneur, very
Yeah,
small business world,
100,
because AI
100%.
just is so maxed. Yes, you're
100%.
100% in. You feel good about that because that's where my head's at. So how do you solve problems for those people? Is I think the unlock. Does that make sense?
I think on two ways. One is how do you solve problems for them, and how do you expose them that this is possible? I think for me, I think a lot of
Mm,
people who I interact
mm,
with, I think, uh, and I mean, we're slightly digressing, but the reason like how Pitch Pilot came or started was is an interesting story. Like, I think January and Feb of this year, as you know, I advised few projects, and I would meet them, and I would keep on saying that, hey, um, why are you not using vibe coding? Like, why have you so many engineers? Like, why are we not shipping fast and stuff like that? And they would naturally have some resistance around it and stuff. And then I kind of realized that, I should not be saying this if I have not done something like this myself. Like, there is no
mm.
way I don't have a right to comment on anyone because I have read two articles and seen some YouTube videos. And then I said, okay, fuck it. Let's try to build a product in 1.5 months, single person. Like, and I have a DevOps engineer who can help me set up on AWS and stuff. But let's try that. And Pitch Pilot kind of emerged from there. Like, okay, I thought this is an interesting problem. I see it. Founders, especially in Asia regions, feel it a lot. So it was like one person know from design in Claude, so everything, the whole full stack. And now I'm super confident. Like now, if I go back and advise, like I can say, no, bro, you don't need so many engines, or you can ship much more faster. This is how the way to do it. So I think, like to coming back to your point, just exposing people to the fact that what is possible is itself a huge unlock for a lot of people.
Yeah. But do you still think it's going to be the way it is now that, I always say this, I think I could still interview 100 people on the streets of New York and say, hey, do you know that millions of profiles are actually AI and you think you're talking to a real person? And I think 5 people will be like, yeah, I know that. But I think 95 people would be like, what are you talking about? So my point is, do humans still just kind of be lazy about it? And do you have to not expose them to it, but actually just do it for them?
I think it goes back to our. Yeah, I also don't know, but my hypothesis on this is, like for example, the 100 people you speak in New York. I think 95 of people will be so busy in their lives, in whatever challenges that we are, like we have to be respectful, courteous, thankful that we are in an exceptional position. Like the fact that you and I can spend 1.5 hours talking about stuff which is across dimensions and space
100%
is an incredibly privileged position, right? And I don't think you will meet those people when you interview in New York. So for them, I think the reality of world is very different. So I think for them, you will have to build something out. Like they won't even realize. I don't think they will take the effort. Like few of them who will take the effort, that's a magical experience for you and probably anyone who I convert to AI. I feel very happy that this person has now skill unlocked. But I think for majority people, they would be a consumer of a lot of products which are being built.
Yeah, and I love what's really cool is all of your responses have had a sense of empathy there, right? And the empathy that you just conveyed is people are busy, man. There's an incredible amount. It is not lost on me that I guess if you did the math, it's the top single digits of the world, the access that I have to the life that I live, right?
Absolutely.
I'm not talking about America. I'm talking about the world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And a majority of people are just trying to put food on the table, man.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's our responsibility to help them out. And that's why I do what I do ultimately, right? Is I know these conversations make an impact, and your story will resonate with thousands of people, tens of thousands of people someday, because we have this. And I think this is what my purpose is. But I love how you explained that. I absolutely agree that is why not as many people are having these conversations. But we have this privilege, and we cannot let this go to waste. So Pitch Pilot, where is it? Let's talk about a little bit of Web3, and then why is Pitch Pilot here? Like where are you today with Pitch Pilot? Because you've made an evolution. So touch on anything on Web3, and then the emergence of Pitch Pilot and where you currently are. We'll talk about the future. I have one final question I ask every guest, and then we'll call it a day, brother.
Yeah, perfect. So like I said, I think been in Web3 for I would say sufficient number of years, seen the ups and downs in cycle, round tripped a large part of my my portfolio into stuff which I don't even want to look at.
Same.
I think that's the tuition fee which we pay for being in Web3. So no hard feelings at all.
Yeah, I mean, if you told a normal person the money that we saw and the money that we lost, they'd be like, what I don't even know how to comprehend that.
yeah, exactly. Like it is truly magic internet money. Where it goes, where it doesn't, we just don't know.
Right.
So that's fun, I think. But I think I think a lot of people are generally dismissive about Web3 because we have so many tokens and meme coins and stuff. But I think for me, and this kind of thinking came when I was building Pitch Pilot, is that this is actually a transformative technology, just that we have a lot of people have not used it in right way. And I think it's an evolution of technology. I think we may take a different, like a lot of times people compare ourselves to Web3 to the internet, and why it has not moved in same direction. I think each technologically, historically moves in its own path. Uh, the automobile moved in a different path, the steam engine moved in a different path, internet moved in a different path. So I think Web3 has its own path being carved out, which is more, I would say, financial driven. But now increasingly, you will see people talking about revenues, people talking about back building products for Web2. So I think that is exciting too. Like we have the technology there, and then I think touching on Pitch Pilot. So I think Pitch Pilot, like I said, I think initially it was just a small personal experiment to see if I could build a end-to-end product or not, including smart contracts and stuff. Uh, but now I think overall, I think our philosophy is that we want to build a co-pilot for founders. And so we have three products in Pitch Pilot. One is called Insight Swarm, which essentially allows you to get feedback on your idea, on your tweet, on your design. Like you put that out, and you choose number of people you want to get feedback from. That's from 0 to 100, and then at back end, the AI will create 100 different random crypto personas. It will look at that and give you a response, like how would people would have reacted, how
Mm.
AI would have reacted. So you get a very cheap, like if you use 100 people, you will pay a dollar, a couple of dollars to get feedback. So that's one product, which is about how do you get that initial. And this is something which founders keep on trying to, like, how do I get some user feedback, some stuff. So this is synthetic user feedback in a way. Then you have the product which is about doing these VC calls and expert advisory calls, where you have AI agents to replicate them. It's usually takes $1 per minute, and then you have very detailed feedback on how was your call, were you confident, not confident, was the agent able to understand your problem statement or not, what was the solution, so all the things which I think can help you pitch better. And the third is we just launched something called Page Deck Analyzer, which is again, you upload a page deck, you have multiple agents which take out sections of the page deck and then give a score, and then you get a deep overall score on how the page deck looks like. And the eventual plan, I think, as I build this out, is kind of make a better fundraising platform, because we are trying to mix two things, like make it something like Duolingo, where a founder has incentives to keep on doing this. So let's say the idea gets a certain score and a pitch deck gets certain score, and you have like all these mock calls, you are kind of green on all these mock calls, then the AI agent will generate a detailed investment memo for you, which you can then we can raise it on platform and people can raise capital on top of that. So because that's finally the what founders want. Like with all this done, is there a way for them to raise capital without getting in, like the unfortunate reality of Web3, those middlemen between launchpad and all that stuff. If
Yes.
you can just eliminate them, saying that, hey, there's no human intervention, this is what AI has created, this is what an investment memo which AI has made. These are all the interactions which the founder has had previously to show you the growth of the thinking. This is where the product is. This is what GitHub analysis is. And then if you want to invest, you can. So that's where I think we are going. But yeah, sorry, long spiel, but yeah.
No, no, no. That was beautiful. Couple questions here. You've already been building one or two insights that have been revealed where you've proven out or disproven things that you thought or believed in.
Uh, I think one thing which is proven out is, um, and this is like a more on a personal side, that you don't need to be a expert coder to code really fast. I think what you need to be is a very logical thinker. Like you should, like so anyone who's trying to do vibe coding, I think I would say 1 week they should just spend trying to understand what is an API, what is backend, what is front end, how are these building. These are almost Lego blocks.
Yeah.
Once you have these concepts, I didn't. And that was a mistake I did. I just went directly in, and then everything broke after 10 days. And then I had to kind of learn on the go. So I think once you understand these building blocks, then you can understand what the AI agent or cursor code is doing for you. And then you can figure out, oh, this building block does not fit in here, it is doing something wrong, and you can very, very quickly course correct. That's
Um,
there. Um, the second thing, I think, uh, like we are still slowly rolling out the product, but the more people I talk to, the more convinced I get that this is something which founders will love. I think I have not had a reaction where founders have said that, no, I'm not sure. Like, there's some of the very interesting, like a Ukrainian founder pinged us and said that I like it because I want to get feedback in private. I don't want to come on a call with another person and then get me judged on something. This is a way for me to privately get feedback on. So these are some of the like very interesting concepts. Like I didn't think of a use case around that. Like, but so yeah, those two things I think.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So what winding it down here, what does the next 3 to 6 months look like for you personally and Pitch Pilot? I mean, anything you want to share?
I think Pitch Pilot. The idea is to make it do a couple of things like gamify the whole experience for the founders so that they enjoy. Like it does not appear like a very formal, stiff kind of product. Make it interesting. Uh, Second is kind of then build this whole fundraising platform, and like I said, I think we now have the capability to take this to masses. Like this product, my goal is like, if can we rank number one on product hunt? Like that's if we do that, then we have a Web3 product which ranks number one web on product hunt, which is technically a Web2 platform. Then we have arrived. So we as Web3 have arrived. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the goal. I think next 3 to 6 months, that's the plan. Like, can we rank number one on product hunt? Even for a day, few hours, that's okay. But if we are there, then we know that we have built which masters will love. And I think, yeah. And like I said, this is a self-funded project. We don't have to, I have no intention of raising capital on this one for now.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah. But we
Yeah.
will continue to ship as hard as possible because that's nature. So, we
Yeah,
have to.
because I'm in the camp that like you can make plenty enough money, have fun,
Yeah.
serve your purpose building something like
Yeah.
this without then having to raise the capital to turn it into just a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Why? Why if you don't have to, right? And enjoy
Yeah.
enjoy the ride and the experience, and you're getting to that insight, which is beautiful. The last thing for people that are interested in vibe coding, what are your recommended tools to start?
So I would say one is like from my stack, Cursor is my go-to stack. Like that's my tool where I vibe code. So I would say Cursor for sure is the tool, not Windsurf, not Lovable, Cursor for sure. And then I would say there are a couple of newsletters. One is every.to, and there is one by Ben Bytes. I think they give a lot of insights on how to do this. And third is I think just ask Claude. I think Claude is better on this. Just have a very deep conversation with Claude.
Yeah.
Think, hey, I want to vibe code. I want to understand it. And don't ask that I want to vibe code. Ask from, help me understand how a software works. What does backend mean? What does API mean?
Yeah.
What does front end mean? I think just spending 2-3 days just understanding that building block will just, then you are good to go.
And just having that conversation with Claude is basic plan subscription, or you can even do that through free Claude?
I think free Claude should also work. I think
Yeah.
for this kind of conversation, free Claude
Yeah.
should also work.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Beautiful, man. So last question, and then I'll give you my closing comments, which are going to be nothing but praises. You have experienced Web2. You've been through the investor world. You might have done some podcasts before. You've been probably in hundreds of spaces. How do you think today went compared to the things you've either listened to or experienced? Would love your thoughts.
So I think, like I said at the very start, I was expecting a real conversation and a real connection. which is what happened. I think from the whole conversation, compared to, let's say, if you compare this to a space or any other podcast, usually it's very agenda driven. Like spaces is about a launch of a product, or you want to comment on how markets are doing. Other spaces would be focused primarily on pitch pilot, how that journey started and stuff. This is, I think, way more holistic, and holistic conversations are, I would say, way more fun because as you like some of the questions you were asking, I was already thinking like, oh, this is something which links to pitch pilot and why I started this, because
Mm,
this is where this insight came from. So it's not necessarily I would share that, but in my mind I could those dots again kind of reaffirmed or get connected again. So which is very 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 interesting.
thank you so much, dude. What you just said is exactly what I'm going for. I always think it is like exactly you said. Every guest says that, which is like, I never thought how these things connected, right? And this is such a meaningful thing
Yeah,
for founders to have this
yeah,
reflective time because you're so damn busy. We all are, and it's
yeah,
just not only does it level up people around us, it helps you really understand all of the awesome stuff that you have done. My reflections, man, is just um I really do mean this. One of the top guests has ever been on the show. And what was cool is you made my job incredibly easy today. You actually answered a lot of the questions that I was about to ask, and you are just an incredibly insightful person. Not only are you insightful, uh, you think deep, and you have come to the place. And I think you probably did this early on in your life. Of I feel the genuinity and the empathy more than anything else, and they're not traits. Some people have it inherently. Like I think what I've cultivated is a little bit easier because it's part of my being as well too.
right, right.
Uh, and I feel that with you too. And I feel like not only did we start a friendship, I think
Yes,
this is what I really want to leave with. People perceive value as monetary immediately and a majority of the time. What just happened here in the last hour and 45 minutes is the true value that I think everybody should be striving for, which is have deep, meaningful conversations with people like yourself that me and you can level each other up because we're both
yeah,
really good at different things, right? And surround yourself with Shawshanks of the world. I promise you, people, if you do this, the outcomes are going to be beyond your wildest dreams. And so thank you for giving me the value that you just gave me on giving me your time, really opening up. That is worth thousands of dollars. And I don't think people think about that enough, that value comes in so many different forms. And the main values a lot of times aren't a monetary exchange. And that's what just happened today. So, I mean, couldn't be more indebted and grateful for what you just did. So I appreciate it, man.
thanks, man. Same here, absolutely same here. I think absolute similar vibes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sometimes experiences like the Grand Canyon thing, right? There's no money which can buy that experience, right? You
Yeah.
can't put a dollar value to seeing a sunrise or sunset in Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
That's what those are the experiences we should strive for. And this was one of those. So thank you so
Thanks,
much.
man.
Yes.
That just warms my heart, literally gives me chills because that's exactly what I'm going for. And with that being said, people, you just had knowledge bombs dropped. We will be dropping this as a podcast. I will be cutting this content up. There's so much value that's coming out of this. Thank you for the triple digit people that chimed in and watched us. This is the last thing I always say. I have had probably millions of people watch me or be exposed to me. And it's just the follow button. And the same for Shawshank. Like, if you guys are not pressing the follow button on Shawshank and listening to anything that comes out of this dude's head, you're absolutely crazy. You're out of your mind. So give us all a follow. Pay attention to my Twitter at MikeyGNFT. We will be tagging him. You all are here, so you know the Twitters anyways. Give everybody a follow. Give everybody love. We're here to change the world with meaning and purpose. Thank you so much for being here. Mikey G, and Shawshank are out.